We know that students come to us as different people. I mean, anybody who's taught for 15 minutes sees that. Some kids sit still, some kids don't sit still well. Some kids come in with a storehouse of information about a particular topic, and other kids have never been introduced to it. When researchers look at differences in our learning, they suggest that there are probably about 3 at least that make a big difference in us. Kids can differ in readiness level. And when students differ in readiness level, that does not mean what is their IQ. It means given a specific set of learning goals, where is the student in readiness for that? You may have a student who's missed something significant last year that would help them move ahead in a subject. But as soon as they've got that missing piece, they can move really quickly. And so readiness is not an attempt to pigeonhole a kid and keep them there. It simply means some kids come in with information, knowledge, skills, understanding, experiences that propel them ahead, and others don't yet have that, but we can help them gain it so that they can move ahead as well. In differentiating for readiness, the teacher's goal is really to make everybody's task a little bit too hard for them. So the reason one task won't always work is that typically what's a little too hard for one kid is a little too easy for another one. Something that's way too hard for one student may still be too easy for another. And so looking at what brain research tells us about the fact that the brain really only learns when the task is moderately challenging, and what people like Vygotsky talk to us about with the zone of proximal development, we really do know that a student has to reach a bit to learn, but not stretch to the point of pain, and certainly not bend down in order to be able to learn. So differentiating for readiness means the teacher is trying to help the students all work toward the same outcome, but at different degrees of difficulty, different degrees of complexity, with different kinds of scaffolding. Interesting point in differentiating for readiness is that if a teacher really challenged an advanced learner, that student would also need the teacher. We often think bright kids are fine by themselves, they're going to make it, and they are going to make it on work that's under challenging. But any student who's challenged will find that they have to stretch and they have to have support, and that's really the goal in readiness differentiation. Second way in which students bring differences to the classroom is in their interest. And whereas readiness differentiation is absolutely imperative for academic growth, interest-based differentiation contributes to motivation. So when a student sees something that they like connected to what the teacher's teaching, the stock of that unit goes up, and the kid thinks, ooh, that's kind of cool, I sort of see that. That's the stuff that I like there. And what we understand is that when students are interested in work, particularly when it attaches to something that they find interesting, their motivation to learn increases, and not surprisingly, when your motivation to learn increases, your achievement is likely to go up as well. So whereas readiness and interest are two different entities, they intersect in that way. We're not highly likely to be interested in something that is old hat to us and there's nothing new to learn. We're also not likely to be interested in something that's totally beyond our reach. So there's some connections between zone of proximal development and interest, but they really are sort of two separate entities. And by helping students boost their current interests, develop new interests, we're building their motivation to learn, and it is way easier to teach when kids will follow you up that hill rather than having to drag them up that hill of learning. The third way in which students differ from each other as learners has to do with what we've called in this particular model of differentiation learning profile. And learning profile is an umbrella term, and it has to do with how we process information, how we take it in, how we think about it, how we interact with ideas. And that actually is sort of a big messy field. There's a lot of different ways to sort of slice that apple and look at it. But in any case, learning profile has to do with efficiency of learning. Readiness is about growth, interest is about motivation, learning profile is about efficiency of learning. I can learn something in an inefficient way probably. It's just much more tiring, much less enjoyable. And so if I can help a student figure out a way to learn that works for him or her, they're much more likely to learn efficiently and therefore to learn better. So what we're hoping for in a differentiated classroom is that a teacher studies student readiness and is able to help kids start where they are and move as fast as they can towards shared goals. That teachers study students' interests and try to connect what they're teaching to things that matter to kids. And that teachers give kids opportunities to learn in different ways so that students learn a variety of ways to learn and become more and more savvy at understanding what's working in helping them learn. It's probably important to say that it's not necessary in teaching to say I can only do one of those at a time. Frequently a task can attend to some readiness variance while it attends to some interest variance, or some learning profile variance while it attends to both interest and readiness. So the goal is not necessarily to segment them carefully, but to make sure that we attend to those three sets of needs in the students we teach.